dreaming and making theater and music and art in a way.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have approximately 30 minutes before we commencing our descent into Copenhagen Airport. If you wish to purchase any more drinks or snacks or food from the bistro bar, please do not hesitate to press the call bell above your head, and the cabin crew will be very pleased to serve you at your seat. Thank you.
This was my dream to come to Copenhagen. I like this town. It's a big town, it's a small town. It's a historical town, it's full of beauty, it's open-minded people, it's close to the sea, it's close, the surroundings is beautiful, there are parks all over, it's a quiet town. And when I came in '83, I stayed just in the middle, in the old city, and I like it so much.
Once upon a time, in a cosy northerly kingdom, soldiers marched out of their military barracks and new spirits moved in.
It was in 1969, outside the fence. I was sitting in a building opposite, which was a kind of a hippie club at that time. And I got sick, so I was stand up and opened the window and got some fresh air. I had smoked too much hashish. And then I looked down the street, and then a bunch of hippies was kind of trying to tear down the fence. And I thought, wow, let's go down and see what's happening. So suddenly we were like 20 people tearing down the fence to the old barrack. And then we went in and starting to explore all the buildings. And within, like in the late 69, the beginning of 70, people moved in, start to move in very slowly. So that was my first experience.
And in year 71, nothing happened in this place, and it's a large area in Copenhagen with 20 acres. And at that time, the situation was bad in Copenhagen for getting an apartment if you want to start a family and so on. There was a lot of very small and very bad apartments, and it was very hard to get one.
An amazing vibe here, man. Not simply squatting in Copenhagen's housing crisis. Man, it's something different. It's deeper, serious, but it's fun, man. Yeah, it's great fun. It's like back in India.
It's partly of the time, 68, and partly because the politicians put down this military area. They didn't know what to do about it. They didn't think about what could happen. And those very brave and courageous young people at that time who also took houses, it's kind of SWAT in a big scale. And it was a historical place with many old houses. Very often the military keep the houses because they don't have so much energy to put them down as the rest of the society. So they're beautiful houses. Houses used for horses or for weapons or for... But for some of them, 100 years, some were even, I think, 200 years old. And then they come the young people and took it. And it's very criminal.
Civil disorder have been a tradition in Denmark from the day we got democracy and until today. And Christiania is a product of civil disorder.
Christiania allows you to come to a space where you can decouple and find your own individuality, your own specialness, your own self. It's a space of 70 acres and 1,000 people with this vibration. Peace, love, creativity. Be yourself.
I mean, the whole hippie movement was based on peace, love, and no war. In Denmark, the fuel of the hippie movement was kind of revolution against our parents. And we thought, why don't we buy a house together so we can make the cost and expenses much cheaper? And the same with the car. We saw all these cars with one person driving along, and we thought, why don't we share the car so it's more economic and not less polluted? At that time, nobody believed in pollution, only the hippie movement.
Christiania, you can see it like a life academy. We called it a high school, the Danish high school system. We have to be stronger. We have to be more prepared for the influence of the world around us.
I have been on a boarding school, and for 2-3 years of my last years of the boarding school, the whole hippie idea came to my school. And I thought it was a very good idea. So I kind of became a hippie. So in '72 I moved to the countryside, to a community where we grow our own vegetables, and I had a goat and a cow, and try to fulfill the dream of living in nature. There was all the threats with atomic nuclear war, and it was when you lived in Denmark and also in England and in Europe, it was a threat which was hanging over our heads all the time. And in my world I thought, well, if everything goes total wrong, at least I'm prepared to move out in the woods.
Peace, love and harmony was like that. As Christiania started in 1971, and in the middle of this period with the hippie things was growing rapidly at that time. Yeah.
Sven and Jens are sitting happy in a hippie pad, about to smoke a chillum in the recently abandoned barracks in central Copenhagen. They are in their mid-20s, long-haired, bare-chested, barefoot, and both wear Indian dhottis draped around their hips. 2 miniature magpies glide ahead of a tiny angel with silver wings and long honey-blonde hair as she cycles down the swirl of smoke on her bicycle. She turns her beautiful face. She smiles to them and is gone in an instant. Why do you call this old military barracks Christiania? That's the name she wants. Who? That angel on the bike.
I think Christiania, for those who have not been there, is scaring because you read so much about violence, about hashes, and about many things. So if you don't know Christiania, it's something. If you know Christiania, if you've been there, just walk around, it's different. But those people who live in Christiania, live there many years, have been traveling around the world, have been in many countries, so you have a cultural input from many, many, many different cultures.
We have one of the major houses is reserved for Greenland people, so they have a place. We got apartments for them, and you can only live in this house if you're coming from Greenland. It's a minority group that they got their place there.
There are all kind of culture living there. So it is what I would call an inclusive area, which are open for all different kind of, the way of living.
Some gays made this house where they could make their operas, and it was allowed as their house. They could do whatever they wanted to do in this, and and then they make a lot of theater for, and sometimes they invite us, the others of the people in Christiania, and we could come and eat and party with them, and it's fantastic. We lost lots of them, a lot of these gay people and friends in the late 80s and early 90s because of AIDS.
And it's both nature. We have a beautiful park, and I live in the park, in the middle of the park, and we have a amusement center where there's music, cafes, restaurants, pusher streets, all kind of activities, legal and illegal.
And the main street, when you see it, when you walk in with the pusher street, well, gang-looking guys and the big dogs and whatever, it's not looking very friendly the first sight when you're walking in. But at the same time, it's a kind of a fairy tale, and you'll have this. You'll get very curious. Most people would get very curious because there's so many different and so many odd things inside Christiania.
Before it wasn't that attractive for people who want to live a decent and ordinary life.
Every guy got long hair, most of them long beard. Everybody was smoking big chillums and big joints all the time. And when you went into the bars, it was very primitive bars. There was the lamp thing was like, it was a plastic thing, just what do you call it? Just turned around, and just this pulp, light pulp in the middle with the electric thing, you know, and it was dark everywhere, and it was primitive bars, just a guy with some boxes, beers in the corner selling beers. But the atmosphere was, we should be nice to each other, and peace, love and harmony. It was really like that, yeah. And a lot of culture and a lot of theater, and it was really great.
Just being in among this vibration that is here. Hello, you're a human being. It works slowly, organically here, but life itself, that's the way life works. Too much in the West, we just speed.
It's different in every way from where I was living before. You can't compare. We're doing everything in a different manner out here. It's like living in a village in the middle of Copenhagen. And this village have composed their own regulations, you know, and their own rules.
It's not a ghetto. It's a very open place because they're living about 700 adults and about 200 children.
You're not allowed to wear biker's collar. You're not allowed to sell or use hard drugs. And you're not allowed to use any violence. Of course, you're not allowed to steal from other people and behave other people badly. And apart from that, there's no regulation. You're not allowed to drive a car here either, unless you have a purpose. Otherwise, it's pretty liberal.
And the reason that we were left with this area, it was when we took it over, this was a ruin. And outside is a very high-end area with very, very expensive apartments. It was actually one of the most poor areas in Copenhagen, with toilets in the yard and a lot of alcoholics and things. But when this area became rich, then Christiania started to be a pain in the ass, because then it was the value of the land. Before it was no interest because it didn't have any value. But now it's actually one of the biggest, highest valued areas.
The landscape in Christiania is very different when you're walking around, and you're 10 minutes on a bicycle from the town hall, and at the same time you're in the countryside. The ocean is very close, and there's a lake just outside your door, and it's fantastic to stay here. Because we want the freedom for the nature, because that we let everything grow in an organized manner, but we let it grow, and we love this kind of wood thing in the middle, in the center of Copenhagen. And we should just realize that we are not owning the place. The place is for everybody. No fences around. Every person from Copenhagen, every person from Denmark, everywhere else in the world should be allowed to walk and use every part of Christiania if you like to, along with us.
Christiania is a poetic procession of progressive architectural challenges and extraordinary gingerbread homes, artfully opening eyes and souls, an offbeat world of fantastic shapes, colours, imagery, and stimuli to swell mundane imaginations.
I think it's amazing buildings we got inside Christiania. Many more will come. We have been limited for years under a right-wing government. Now we bought Christiania. We can negotiate with the parties. So they said to us all the time the last 10 years that if you build any more, we come and shut you down. They have this threatening thing going on all the time. But it's exciting to see how people that are not educated in building housing make fantastic things often. It's really, really great to watch.
In Christiania, it's a kind of anarchistic society. If you have an idea, you ask your neighbors if it's all right, and if it's all right, you do it. And if they say no, you sometimes do it anyway.
It's like when you were a child and your teacher asked you to paint the house of your dreams.
I've, after my own opinion, the way people have been building them for years, it's like a fairy tale. It's something taken out from a fairy tale, and I don't know if it's the same word in English, profane buildings. You know, you just build in whatever fits, and you make your little tower or whatever, and it's so different. We made a system where we're paying per meter like everybody else in Denmark and the world. Just like we are renting our own housing now, because Christiania own the places. Even I built and paid the place, Christiania own it.
But I think Christiania could be anywhere. I mean, if 100 people or 1,000 people get together and buy a part of a city, then you have a Christiania. And it's possible. I mean, one person buying a house, that's hard. 2 person buying a house, that's less hard. 10 person buying a house, it starts to get easy. 100 person buying a house, wow, now it starts to get cheap. 1,000, you can buy a whole city.
I was probably around 12, 13 years old, and I went with my parents to visit an elderly couple who lived out there since the 20s, not in Christiania but in Christianshavn, or the 30s, since the 30s, yeah. But then they liked to show my parents and I Christiania, and we took a long walk because we lived very close to it, so we walked all the way by the water. And I remember when I have had some déjà vus when we've been walking also, because I remember those places where you walk through a garden and there are flowers and funny little things in the grass, and you cross hippie people. It was a summer day and the sun was shining, and I don't really remember the hash market, but I think I didn't really know what it was, so I didn't really notice. I just noticed the hippies and the flowers, the hippie stuff, and it was green, and I remember it was colorful. And I remember the water, and I remember it was like it was different. It was like a different place to come into. That is the first I remember about Christiania.
It was silent. You were alone. It was warm and you walked up in the, and you just went out. You didn't take clothes on. You just lived without. Or you took on what you wanted because you didn't disturb anybody, and nobody disturbed you. And that's very different today.
It's a magnetic place for almost everybody.
I started to use it together with my girlfriend without staying here. And we used it, we was down in Pusher Street a lot, but at that time it was not Pushers, it was a market street. I was selling prints, linoleum prints. Christiania is different from outside. But it was so simple, Christiania. It was just to go in and to be. It was so slow in many ways. It was just a little changing and then going back, and you didn't have to pay. It was just only to change life was big at that time.
I like to think of Christiania as a place where I would never get lonely, and I like the thought makes me feel well.
So for years I was actually almost not coming out of Christiania. I got what I needed here, so I stayed inside, and I didn't know what happens in the rest of Copenhagen or in the country, whatever. We just had our big great party going on every day here.
Some people go, even today, because they have some problems being normalized, so they instinctively go to Christiania. But I think some intellectual people also went there. But then you have to have some courage. If you are a little afraid what happens, can I survive? Am I effective enough in doing the daily life and so on? So you don't go there. You don't dare go there. All people should know Christiania. But it's very good because there is also a kind of explosive want to make another society. So in some sense you can say it's rational that the society as such is a little scared about Christiania because people are more free there. They can get a little more like to their visions. In the small, they can make a beautiful society. And they try, most of them. Of course, some people are too drunk and too stupid, maybe, I don't know. It's not just heaven.
Because Christiania is also based on the idea of self-governing, consensus democracy with flat structure, and then the whole idea of the community. And that means that if you want to be or do anything in Christiania, you have to participate.
It's a democracy, a true democracy. Maybe its roots going back to the Greeks. These peoples have retained this democracy. It's participatory democracy. It's not that you vote once in a blue moon. It's that you're involved in the daily process of life. And of course decisions go slowly because life actually lived goes slowly. So it takes time to make decisions in Christiania. But they're deep and strong decisions. It's the people's decisions. It's the people's themselves. It's people's empowering themselves.
The governing system in here, it's just like, officially everybody is into the decisions. But we don't have this system one word per head. We have a kind of consensus democracy. We are in 14 communes or areas. We have our own self-ruling. And if there's something we can't find out, we call all the others and we meet in major meetings. But if we have major issues inside Christiania, we talk and talk and talk. And if somebody's against, we can't decide. I don't know why it's still like that. It's probably going to change one day. Yeah? Now we are becoming more normal. The system is becoming more normal after we bought it. But it's very, very, very odd and very difficult. And different governments have been giving up throughout the years because they could not negotiate with us. Christiania went back and said there's one that said no, so it's not possible. We were 500 said yes, but there was one that's saying no, so there's no agreement yet.
Well, if I should say I'm an anarchist, capitalistic, liberalistic, socialistic, even communistic hippie, that's what I am. I don't believe in politics. I think they are stupid, but I believe in people. And that's what we do here in Christiania. We have a local democracy because, man, you have put all the small communities together to big unions now in Denmark. So, but here we still have local democracy. And then we have consensus democracy, which means we have the same democracy as the first democracy in Greece, in the city-state of Athens. And also another part of our democracy comes from Ting meetings. It was Scandinavian things, villages and areas in Scandinavia. They met once a year, and all free men, unfortunately not women, but all free men was allowed to come there, and everybody was equal. So they had to make decisions in consensus, also on these meetings. But these two has actually been very inspiring for how the whole Scandinavian hippie movements, because it's not only Christiania, we're just the biggest one, but there's a lot of small Christianias around, but especially in Scandinavia, in Sweden, North Sweden, all kind of Norway, Finland, everywhere there's small communities or bigger communities, which is actually doing the same thing.
The Prime Minister in the late 70s, early 80s, he said that people are very variated and we need this place. And yeah, it was when Denmark is famous for legalizing porn and for marrying the first gay couple and stuff like that. There has been a kind of free spirit here and a kind of acceptance of it.
I hope that there's so much culture, there's so many different things here, there's a lot of people with different energy, and we got a lot of possibilities. I hope the culture and the buildings will grow and the fancy fairy tale will grow, and I hope that people will stay with their feet on the ground.
But I don't think most people of the Christiania don't think so much about branding because now they're not afraid of being put away. I think Christiania's importance is mostly that people come from outside, get inspired about being here. I don't think it's not so important now to make branding and to defend Christiania as it was years ago, because it has survived. The state will not destroy it.
And then there was a reaction against alcohol. And that's why the hippies smoked hashes. And that's why there's hashes here in Christiania today. It's a historic and culture thing, which we never get rid of, because it's founded and based on all these hippie philosophies about organics and growth with care and all these kind of things. For my own part, I've seen the whole society getting drunk every weekend. And I thought they were stupid. I thought I could see they were fighting, there was a lot of bad situation and people died and things. In my world, alcohol was not a good thing. So when hashish came along and I smoked my first pipe, I was like, well, here I got my recreative drug. And then the rest of the society had the alcohol as their recreative drugs.
In the first 9 years Christiania was here, there was a lot of drugs, hard drugs and soft drugs. And in 1978, in this house we're sitting right now, 5 people died in a week. And then the people who lived here, they were agreed that it was finished with hard drugs, so people were not allowed either to take them or sell them. And then they make a blockade.
It became tough when we moved in. Already in '79, there came a lot of heroin to Christiania because the Copenhagen police told the narcomans in Copenhagen that if they went to Christiania, they wouldn't take them.
The definition of a hard drug is a drug you can die from using. That if you overdose this drug, you'll die. The soft drugs, you cannot die from using them directly. Apart from this, so these drugs is connecting a very heavily physical addiction, which you don't see on the soft drugs. A guy addicted to heroin, he will sell his mother to get his stuff. And you never heard about this with soft drugs.
Everybody knows it's not that dangerous like alcohol, for example. Everybody knows that the criminals make ridiculous money. Everybody knows what the impact is. So why don't they do anything? And every time they put more police on the street, the criminals makes more money because the price is increasing and the criminals gets more money. And the victims is ordinary people taking these drugs.
Yeah, it was people like me, but they were not. They didn't have the same possibilities like I had where I grew up, and they met the strong dope, and they really wanted to come out of it, but it was very difficult to come out of it. And Christiania made a blockade against it suddenly from one day to another, and we gave everybody a chance to go to camps in Jylland, to farm places, and stay there for half a year, and then they could come back if it was clean after half a year. To be out all the night, many days, and people passing and bringing things for you to eat, or bringing wood it was cold. It was in October, November, and I got really afraid many times. But I had a wonderful hand to hold, and that was the period we started to make children also. We had a very big succeed with the blockade against narco, heavy narco. You can still smoke a cigarette here, and things like that, and eat sugar and take coffee, and you can watch television. You even if that's very tough too. You can go here to buy hashish and strong hashish and bad and good hashish. Yeah.
It's legal in Christiania. It's not legal in Denmark, but it'll come one day. It'll come. My brother and my mother died of drinking alcohol, and they call it legal. So a very, very big group of the people in Denmark and Sweden and England and all over Europe and the world are using cannabis or hashish every day, as well as they're using alcohol. And I think one day they found out that they could get a lot of tax money out of the hashish as well. And when I was in California 3 years ago, I was in a place to buying some pills for headache, and they sold a lot of marijuana products as well. And I think it will come someday, because hashish is not only bad, it's good for a lot of things. It's just about telling your kids not to use it as their kids, but every cultures have been using their hashish or alcohol or every kind of medicine or narcotics or whatever all through the years and centuries of whatever.
We have a lot of stupid people coming in here, especially we have a scene all over the Western world where a lot of people take hard drugs, especially cocaine and amphetamine. And also here they come here and party, smacked up with coke and amphetamine, and we don't want it. So we are planning and setting up a coke blockade here in the near future.
Sometimes the police go and take some of the pushers and look for the hashes, and then there have been not so much more. I think it has been stopped. Before there was kind of fighting and some stoned. Some people outside also came and make violence, and the police put this tear gas, this spray. But it's very seldom. But it happened. It has happened. It's depends on the signals from the top, from the government. If they are a little bit more soft, they say, "Oh, don't do too much about Christiania and hash." But also the other more right wing, they say, "You must do something. We cannot have this open. We cannot have this open hash selling." We had the Minister of Law. Is that the right word? The minister who's in charge of police and so on. She was offended by that, so she wanted to be more. Police should be more tough by looking for the pushers. I think that's so funny. It's open.
And we have a special situation these days with a gang raving Christiania. It's a police gang, but it's a paramilitary group named Task Force Pusher Street, and their task is to get control over the hash market. But the really task, as I can see their strategy, now I've seen them for 5 months, it is to terrorize the area. So we have these civilian idiots coming, banging you down with their batons. They have weapons they put into our heads, black hoods they put over our heads and take us away, beat us up, put us into a cell, and then release us without even questioning us or accusing us of anything. And that's what I call terror. That is state terror inflicting on a local area. And you might ask why. This is a political thing, because the police don't do anything without some politicals has given the order. In this case is our justice minister, not very clever man, to say it very mild.
I was in my son's apartment in Christiania, but the second day we were here. I was looking at the window, and there was a riot of police arrived, black mugginess, and they were accosting and assaulting people. Tourists, Christianites, Copenhageners. I could not believe it. I thought, well, I'd left all that sort of stuff behind in Northern Ireland. I was aghast, shocked, insulted. I was ashamed for Denmark, that Denmark would allow this to happen. I was gobsmacked. Heart was broken. Couldn't believe Denmark had changed so much. I'd first come here in the 70s. Fabulous, open country. Van Morrison sang about "We're from Denmark," so you had to go and see that.
The conclusion must be that it haven't been a success to criminalize them. It has brought a lot of criminality and a lot of bad things. Nobody wishes that other people should be addicted to hard drugs But the fact is that a lot of people are taking hard drugs. A lot of people are spoiling their life by taking it. In all other aspects in your life, you're not a criminal. You live a decent life as a good citizen. You pay your taxes, you go to work and take care of your wife and children, but you have this habit to sniff cocaine. That's why you're a criminal. And you have to be in contact with criminal people. And I don't think the society is served well with that. And I think the fact is that it's criminal makes it harder to convince people and talk with them about it. If a person today he wants to have a treatment because he's abusing drugs, he has to confess that he is a criminal. And for a guy working in a normal job and having a normal life, it's very hard to do that.
And sometimes we had problems in the street if the police are attacking the pushers. But beside that, I would say when you realize how many people is using Christiania every day and we got no police inside, it's a very, very peaceful place. We almost never got any problems, and people will talk themselves out of it. It's very, very seldom that we got any major problems in here or big fights.
They are so jealous that we live in this garden. They want to bike through it and run through it, and now they make distortion just out here in the next weekend, which is the most soundable festival with so much alcohol and different kind of drugs. You have to be out flying. It's okay, but it's stupid to make it in close to a silent area, in my opinion. And we have to defend our house the next days, because all these people will go this way out there and they will sound the way and they will sound the way back, and it's okay. But it's tough. It's tough to be a Roskilde festival, and we are that for 177 days a year, not for a week.
I mean, every time they have a problem, they put up Christiania and say, it is Hell's Angels who's ruling Christiania. And sometimes I show tourists and guests around, and everybody comes in and say, isn't it the Hell's Angels who's ruling Christiania? And then I say no, and I will give you 1,000 kroner if you can find one biker down in the area where they sell hash. I know there's no bikers, no Hells Angels, but maybe 10 or maybe 20% of the hashes coming into Denmark has some biker relation or whatever. So of course some of this has also found the way to Christiania, but from there to say that we are ruled by organized criminality, that is ridiculous. And that's what they try to do. They try to stamp us as organized criminals, like a biker group or mafia or these groups. But if this is organized, I mean, if Pusher Street is organized, then everything is organized. The hash market is a cultural thing, connecting back to hippie movements. And yes, we have this philosophy, and a lot of us don't drink alcohol, so we smoke hash. And actually, the half of the Danish population has smoked hash. The economy between Pusher Street and the economy between the community is sealed. There's no connection. I've seen pushers through the life in here, like if somebody's house burns down, they are the first ones coming, helping building it up. And if somebody needs money for this burned down house, they put up the money, for example. Sometimes close down Pusher Streets, and then there's only 1 or 2 shops open, and these monies goes to helping social events or to renew the bricks on the wall, on the streets and things. And it is without bragging. They are very tired of being accused of being bikers. They are very tired of being accused that they are breaking down society. That's kind of what's going on with this renewable area and the green light things in the green light district. It's a way of trying to get a new image, less tough, and also to kind of show everybody in Christiania, yeah, sure, we make the money, but we like to share it and somehow if it is possible. So that's how I see it. It's a tough world down there, and it's a criminal market, and it's in many ways it has all these disadvantages as a criminal area has. But one thing it's a mono-criminal area, and that is selling hashish. And ask yourself, have you ever heard about a mono-criminal area somewhere else on the world? I have asked tens of thousands of people, and nobody could point out anywhere else in the world.
Also, we had some trial in the court, where there was a trial, the state contra Christiania, Christiania against the state. So in a way, they took Christiania seriously, even they didn't really understand what is Christiania. But there was some jurists, some lawyers who was very fond of Christiania. So maybe they did the same, opposite the state. They knew about it. One of us was professor in jura, in law. So he was kind of, I think, manipulating, using jura. Normally the state has jura, the law, as a kid who keep the society together. We did not win over the state, but it was kind of half win because the opinion changed when this was going on for many years, maybe 7-8 years, this trial. So it's part of also Christiania. It was taken seriously by the politicians and the system as such. I think they could not do that in England or France or United States or Germany. But I don't know. It's open.
They wasn't exactly against us. They think it was a funny experiment. They called it a social experiment. I don't like that word. Because when you are an experiment, it's something you make in a workshop or in a laboratory.
They will start new Christianias, but in other ways, not like Christiania, but they will... for sure, they will never make the same kind of car again like they did before, but they will make new way of moving. They will never make the same iPhone system again. They will make a new. And Christiania is chaos. Governments are so afraid, and they shouldn't be, because chaos is not heavy. But chaos is like mushrooms coming up from a camp, and it will come up different places. But you can still grow a lot of other things, and you can overtake it very easy. But chaos is fantastic because it brings up ideas they haven't been thought, or they brings in love which haven't been seen. So you have to, if it will, they will. I think there will come chances in countries where there will be some liberal ideas that this area outside this towns, with this old firm area or military, let people take it and let us see what is happening. Today they say, here, yes, you can have this, you have to pay so much in rent, you have to work so much, you have to take a bank account, you have to make a film every 3 months to show us what you are doing, and it won't be cars.
They said that 80% of Copenhagen's citizens like Christiania to stay as it is today, with the hashes inside. But nobody can stop it now, because now we bought the place and it's legal. So it's going to be very exciting to see how it will end up in 10 years or whatever.
they're not afraid of it anymore. They are happy that it was like me and my family. I was the black sheep in a period and things like that. But now they are so happy that they have an uncle which is like this. And the same with Christiania. Denmark is so happy that they have this nephew who's a little strange, and know that people are coming. The people, all kind of people, comes out here to have a taste. In a way, they are getting sad that we are getting too normal.
I think it's a major disaster we bought the place, because it was a kind of flame of freedom for lots of people all over Europe, and mostly in Denmark, of course. But I think we couldn't do anything else. That's why we're showing we own nothing.
The funny thing, the powerful thing, the activism coming out of it is illegal, gives maybe sometimes some more energy. So if they use too much energy to tilpasse, to be okay, to be orderly, you cannot use so much energy to make creativity things. So when they are very active and very opposite the mainstream, very underground, culturally and politically, and blah, 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 so they're more interesting. You can get more inspired. It may be not so inspired for Christiania today, I think. Of course, I hope that Christiania could survive, but I was not rather sure about it. A little like the anti-atomic movement, where we walked and walked and walked. We didn't think we will not help, but we must do something. Even we don't thought it could help. It's a very banal thing. But if you really fight for some ideals, you forget your ego. If you really have a very enthusiastic and very energetic about a vision, a project, something we do together, and it's so important. And so you forget your ego and you have a more nice life, nearly happy.
You're going for a walk in the morning and you walk through the grounds of an insane asylum. And the doorman says, "Come in, you have to be inside, everyone else is inside." Hey, I don't want to go in there. I'm trying to get out of there. Look at the country I come from. It's on its knees, it's bankrupt. The capitalist system will only bankrupt you. That's the way it works. Materialism won't give you all the joys that you need in life.
So, the more money you own the bank, the more slave you are, in my reality. Because in a capitalistic world, money and freedom is the same.
And if you want to have some fun in life, you don't buy your house, you don't buy a car, you live in right now. And you do things, good things, hopefully, but you do them with your heart. And all this dream about a house and a car and things, it is just something they made up for you, so they can use you as a slave. Sorry to say, but that's what I think what's going on.
So they are running around and they're saving all their money until they're old. They're paying a lot of money to pension companies who will give them a great pension when they're 70 years old instead of enjoying their money now.
In every city in the world, there should be a Christiania. Every nation must care for others. Denmark could be exporting the skill set of Christiania to advanced countries instead of attacking Christiania. Alfred Nobel awarded his Peace Prize to people who do the best work for fraternity between nations, for the reduction and abolition of standing armies, and for the promotion of peace congresses. Christiania deserves the Nobel Peace Prize.
The only place I really want to be and stay and live is here. And I want to stay till I'm here. And I hope that my kids will stay here when I'm gone. And I know they will. They got the same love for the place.
Well, I think I'm home now, and they're gonna carry me out with my feet first, and probably with my boots on. No, I don't know. A lot of things we tried out. We had some ideas, and some of them were good, and some of them they didn't hold. So I would say I'm a grown-up man who has tried a lot here in life. And a lot of this I tried out was based on the ideas from the hippie movement. Yes, I'm the last hippie.